Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So yeah, just as I suspected, it is not Bucky who is the new Captain America. And I just kept looking at the dude like, okay, yeah, you white, but your features are like different. And unless he was sick and had gotten kicked in the face or something, like it's not you, even with his mask on. Y'all, so the guy who is supposed to be and has been appointed to be Captain America now, his name is John Walker. And he is at his old high school in somewhere in Georgia. And his wife, fiance, girlfriend, or whatever, then came in the locker room that he used to be in when he was in school to give him somewhat of a pep talk and to see how he's feeling about it all. Gave him a kiss and went on by her business. And so this dude who he had been working with in the military, who is black, by the way, and I'm saying this on purpose, so there's no shade and ain't no bias over here. I'm saying all of this for a reason. So anyway, this guy come in that he's worked with. And so, of course he wants to gauge him and see how he's feeling about all this stuff that's going on. Because how you go from, yeah, he has been a captain before, but it's nothing like everybody knowing that you are Captain America. It is a completely different level. It's a completely different level that most people will never be able to imagine how that role would feel, to have the weight of the world on your shoulders. So yeah, y'all, he talking to him, trying to gauge him, see how he feel about it and all this other stuff, and just trying to encourage him and tell him that he gonna be all right. Y'all, I'm looking at these folks like, why is the intro different? Because for as long as I've been watching any of these Marvel TV shows and movies, the intro is the same, meaning the little music that come on, whether or not the specific slides of the various characters change a little bit over time, because of course as things change, they're gonna evolve a little bit, and that you're gonna look a little bit different, whether it's for the better or for the worse. And so I'm like, why the music different? Why they got some random music playing? But then after they finally roll through basically the credits, I was like, okay. So I was here for it, because I was like, okay, what is going on right here? Y'all, what they did was, since they're at his old high school, they have Good Morning America there to interview him. So they done brought him out on the field, the football field, and they have a black, I guess, HBCU-esque type situation going on where the people are out there playing, a band is playing, and they had the drum major setting it off, hopping up in the sky and coming back down to the ground, splitting and doing all that. I was like, y'all better do all of this. I feel like I'm at a whole battle of the bands right now. Like, they was setting it off with the music. So he going around greeting people, taking pictures, and giving out autographs. So eventually he does his interview, and they are rolling footage and saying, who he is, outside of the fact that his name is John Walker. And he has passed so many tests, and like, he tests off the scales. Like, his agility is amazing. He's very, very smart. He's very fast. Like, everything is like off the charts with him. They showed video footage of him practicing with the shield, Captain America shield now. Because at first, when they said he was going to be the new Captain America, I looked at them sideways like, what we not finna do is this. Now, if y'all have ever seen Captain America, he like solid and everything and fine, and yeah, this dude ain't ugly or nothing. He just wasn't like as solid as that Captain America was, at least to me. It ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, he ain't scrawny, but I was just like, okay, what is going on here? So anyway, there are, definitely differences. So anyway, y'all, they're doing the interview, and we see how he's handling, the way he is wielding that shield. I was like, well, excuse me. Maybe I need to be standing corrected at this point, because he really was doing the most. Like, he was taking out like little targets with it like it was nothing. I was like, okay, because everybody cannot handle their shield. Like, he has very rarely given up that shield for somebody to help do something with it when they've been in battle. So yeah, so I was like, okay. So his little coming out seemed to have gone well. So I was like, okay. Well, then we see Sam, aka the Falcon, and the guy who be doing recon, that's what I like to say he do, that does recon. I think that his name is JK or something like that. The guy who ended up getting his face stomped in when he went over to Switzerland, trying to figure out what's going on with these people that they're tracking. Yeah. They were walking and they were about to get to work because he's still working out here. Like, the Falcon still be working. He got contracts and stuff he working on. He got stuff he got to do. Like, them people still out there doing the most. What they call flag smashers or something like that. Yeah, they still out here doing the most. So it's like, we got work to do. Man, Bucky set it off. Bucky rolled up and was like, how dare you? You ain't had no business giving up the shield. So he was like, yeah, good to see you too. Cause he done rolled up off rip, just set it off. And so he was like, he just kept telling him, you ain't had no business doing that. You ain't had no business turning that into them. How dare you? That ain't how it's supposed to go. So he was like, I mean, dang, what am I supposed to do? Call America up and say, I changed my mind? Like, what are you talking about? Man, he is just done. So he was like, look, I have more important things to do. So he was like, what you mean? What's more important than this? So he was like, I got to deal with the big three. So he was like, what is the big three? So he explains to him that the big three is aliens, androids, and warlocks. So when he said warlocks, I was like, what? Oh, okay. And then I had to think about it. So usually when the Avengers are fighting bad guys, they are one of those three things. And, yeah, they're trying to figure out what's going on. So right now, they don't know who this dude is who has this super ridiculous strength that stomped old boy's face in. But, you know, they don't know what he is. They're trying to figure out what's going on right now. And so he ended up showing Bucky a still of the video showing the dude's face. And so he started spouting off information. So he was like, what you know about all this? He was like, look, all I got to tell you is I got to go and see what's going on with this situation. I got to follow up. And Red Wing has sent me some information and I need to follow up on it. And so Bucky was like, I don't trust Red Wing. He was like, it don't matter if you trust Red Wing. I'm going to go follow up on the information and see what it's hitting for. So Bucky, I guess, decided that he going to tag along. So he done suited up and they done got in the sky. Because normally, you know, they get in the sky and then they'll allow him to drop from wherever he want to drop and just fly in. And this time, where he had to drop from, it wasn't that high. And, you know, he was good. So JK then asked Bucky, you know, what he think he gonna do. Because Bucky was like, oh, where's the parachute? He was like, I mean, it's low enough to where a parachute isn't needed. Nobody's going to be having a parachute. So he was like, all right, I don't need it anyway. I was like, Bucky, you finna kill yourself. You gonna hurt yourself. Because, you know, I want to say you gonna kill yourself, but you are a super soldier. So, oh, okay. You gonna hurt yourself. This fool done jumped from the plane and that fell into the tree branches and that finally fell into the ground. And so the Falcon was like, you know, I got all that on camera, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, because he has like these drone type situations that can survey everything and record stuff and all that. You know, it's all this Stark technology. And so he done told him, if you don't get this out of my face, I'm gonna break it. So anyway, he was like, look, go southeast or whichever direction he told him to go. So he went in that direction. He found a little drone thing. And he goes into this abandoned warehouse. And they're looking around. They don't see nobody. So he has the little drone to go around the building. And like in the next room, there are several people like loading up some trucks. And so just from the faraway distance that they're at, it looks as if they are smuggling weapons. So Bucky was like, all right, it look like they're smuggling weapons to me. I see a straight shot. I'm going to go on over there. So he was like, nah, you can't just go in hot like that. What's wrong with you? He was like, look, I'm going to go in there. I'll meet you in there if you decide to show up. And he walked off. So then, you know, he still has his little drone situation going on. And he just looking at him and he looking at the folks. And so he was like, yeah, look at you. You done changed up. You all stealthy now. Because Bucky has been like a super duper hothead. And so, I mean, for him to have, that therapy has been kind of helping him a little bit. But he still has a whole lot of kinks to work out. But I'm just saying, Bucky has been very out of control. Yeah, if y'all don't know about Bucky and all this other stuff, y'all need to, if y'all have time, please get into the different TV shows that are Marvel TV shows that came out before this and a lot of the Marvel movies because, yeah, he has a very interesting past and we're going to get into that a little bit later on too. So he looking And while he walking, and then the Falcon go say to him, "Look at you, looking like White Panther." He was like, "White Tiger," actually. He said White Tiger, I think. He was like, "What?" So for those of y'all who didn't see Endgame, spoiler alert, he was in Endgame, which was like probably like the biggest Marvel movie to date, like the absolute most went down. Woo child. Woo child. He was in Wakanda. The whole audience went crazy when they saw Bucky because we hadn't seen Bucky and we didn't know what was going on with him. And whenever we do see him make appearances, like, people live for Bucky, whether he is a villain or not, because he done been through a lot. It ain't had nothing to do with him just saying, "Oh, I'm going to switch sides." It was just other stuff. Anyway, the people went crazy when they saw Bucky. Bucky had been living it up in Wakanda. Bucky's arm was towed down because some stuff happened, and the people in Wakanda gave him a vibranium arm because he had already had a metal arm. And again, we're going to get into that a little bit later on about the metal arm. It's going to come up again later on in this show. Okay. So, he and Wakanda living it up. Them folks was taking care of Bucky something terrible, y'all. I was like, "Ooh, y'all done went off with Bucky." So, it just gets to a point where he over here thinking it's like maybe 3 people. Ain't that many people. We good. And I'm like, "Bruh, you doing the most." So he was like, "No." So he had the little drone thing to do like a heat-seeking situation or whatever. And so we can look through everything and we see it's like 5, 7, 8 people. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he was like, yeah, I see. Because he was like, "Do you see him? Do you see that there are more people?" Y'all, they have this hate relationship. Oh my gosh, it's so hilarious. And then like Bucky has this thing where he stares off into something. And I think Captain America used to do that sometimes too. And he kind of even adapted it. Like, it was just something like you always knew that the wheels were turning. You knew something was going on in their mind. Keep that in mind. But anyway, so the people are leaving. They done loaded up and they finna leave. So then one of them knocks something over. And then luckily didn't nobody go over there. They was like, "All right, let's roll out." So they roll out. So of course they following them. They following behind them. And they done rolled up. They feel like there is a hostage in the back because there's a heat signature. And so Bucky done went in the back. He see this girl. He was like, "Are you all right?" The girl looking all innocent, y'all. Of course she ends up being one of the people who are ultimately wanted because they doing the most. They are part of this organization. She done set it off. She done kicked Bucky halfway across the street. She done kicked Bucky something terrible. I was like, "Oh my gosh." So then the Falcon that came from out of nowhere, he trying to fight. He done kicked the heifer. Like, the most is going down. Like, that woman beat Bucky down. It was hilarious. But anyway, then, they was getting their behinds handed to them. And then new Captain America, that's what I feel like I'm going to call him if I don't just call him John. New Captain America rolled up. And then he threw the shield and knocked some folks down and all this other stuff. And, because there were several people with her. And they all got on top of the little, the convoy and whatever you want to call it. And they was all fighting and doing the most. Well, his sidekick, who is the same black man that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. And I'm like, okay, what is his name finna be? Because I need to know what's going on. And yet again, like I said, this is somebody I heard of before. And I normally associate it with Marvel versus DC. But again, we finna get to that briefly. Well, they fighting. And in my mind, I'm looking at the black dude who is fighting with Captain America like, "Bro, you in the way at this point." Because I don't know how many times he had to save him from a little situation that was popping off. The girl that kicked, I think the girl or one of the other people that kicked him up off the convoy. And he was about to hit the ground. Yeah, he had a suit on, but he ain't like Captain America, like the actual Captain America that we knew when we was watching all these movies. He about to hit the ground and die from a moving vehicle. So he done threw the shield on the ground just in time to save him. So every minute he like, Thank you. And I'm like, bruh, you in the way. Don't nobody got time to babysit you the whole time. Like, I was so tired. Hopefully he get better I feel like that's what's going to happen, is that he going to get better as time progresses. But right now, I'm just like, bruh, you need to go somewhere. You need to go to the house. Y'all, so ultimately, Captain America is like the last one left on the convoy, because Bucky was fighting one of these folks, and had he not had a vibranium arm, he would have been up under the 18-wheeler's wheels at this point, and he done got drugged all the way down to the bed of the truck, the whole bed of the truck. His arm just to tow it all the way down, and he holding on. The person trying to stomp his arm loose so he can come loose. So now his arm dragging the ground. He's still hanging on for dear life. It just got to the point where if Falcon didn't come in when he came in, eventually the rest of his body was going to be drugged and he was going to be towed down. And the only thing that was going to be left of him was vibranium. And we was going to be dealing with a whole Vision situation, because Vision is literally just vibranium at this point. So anyway, y'all, the Falcon had to come in and swoop and just be like, all right, I'm just finna come up under the 18-wheeler, get him. We just gonna be off in the grass. Captain America couldn't finish what he was doing, so everybody was done. The people got away. Well, since this is still military town, this is still the military, this is still the government, there was like a little Humvee Jeep situation that came along that took Captain America and his partner back to where they was going. And they were trying to get the Falcon and the Winter Soldier to get in there. And at first, they wasn't trying to get in there. And they was like, it's a 20-mile walk back to the airport. So eventually, they hop in and they talking. Bucky ain't trying to hear nothing they talking about. He already sick and tired in his spirit anyway. He ain't trying to be in the same room, let alone that small vehicle, with somebody wielding something that his friend was wielding. His friend is no longer around, and he don't feel like he need that. So he already tired in his spirit. He don't even want to be around him. So then they asked the black dude, what is his name? Who are you? When they appeared, he introduced himself as Lamar Hoskins or something like that. Hoskins, or whatever his name is, or whatever. Right, it is Lamar. And, he was like, oh, okay, y'all. I was like, I need to Google this, because I know I'm supposed to know who this person is, because I know I'd heard of him before. Y'all, he said, I'm Battlestar. Bucky said, all right, pull it over. Pull the car over now. I ain't got time for it. Pull it over. I was like, wait a minute, what happened? And then when he said Battlestar, I was like, wait a minute, he said Battlestar, right? So I looked him up, y'all. Battlestar, y'all got to do this on y'all. Battlestar. Let me see how I can explain it. The best way I can explain it is, if you look at DC and Marvel, there is always going to be a character that seems to mimic one of the other people that's on the other side. Well, with this situation, this guy was Bucky after Bucky, and literally went by the alias of Bucky. And so Bucky was just like, what? Like, all of this was all of him. So basically, when everybody thought everything was over with Bucky, they had somebody else to basically come in and replace him. He was a black Bucky. So it was basically replacing him. So that's why Bucky was tired of his spirit. So he's supposed to be Battlestar. So he looking like, oh no, you supposed to be me. Like, bruh, I'm done. Bye, I'm tired of my spirit. So I was like, oh my gosh, no, Bucky, no. So they done pulled over. And so Captain America was like, I understand your frustration. And of course, Bucky done tuned everybody out. He walking and going by his business. And, he now has to only talk to the Falcon. He was like, look, I'm just trying to do what we need to do in order to do, get all this stuff done. Cool, whatever. He ain't really trying to hear all that, honey. You doing too much. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. So they are talking. And, they gonna figure out some other stuff, right? Let me make sure I ain't passed nothing. I'll make sure I ain't passed nothing, because it's a whole lot of stuff that happened. But yeah, that happened. So anyway, the people who were on that convoy, who they are trying to catch, who are wanted, they have made it very aware these people are about to be wanted. And, I guess because of Falcon stuff, being able to capture people's faces, they've already been able to put everybody's faces up, even though a lot of those people had masks and stuff on. He was able to have to capture all these people's faces. They saw the girl clear as day because she didn't have a mask on at first. So she was the main person everybody was looking for. And so they already had them on the dark web and everywhere else, let everybody know we looking for these folks. Well, they had somebody in the crew that was scrubbing all their information from the internet. Cool, do what you do. Well, for whatever reason, she seems to be the most special out of all of them. I don't know if they're going to get down to that sooner or later or not, but yeah. So somebody took them to some place where this man's wife had food ready for them to clean up the place for them to hide out, basically. So anyway, they are on the way back to headquarters or wherever they're going to go. Well, later on, Bucky has already told the Falcon that, you know, he knows somebody, he need to talk to somebody. Another gem. Hallelujah. I'm glad that so much stuff has happened that now they want to recognize people that should have been putting a lot of recognition and spotlights on in these movies. Okay, y'all. So Bucky was like, we're going to see somebody. So they went to this neighborhood and they go to this house that had a no trespassing sign on it. And the neighborhood looked, you know, not that savory, but I've seen worse. So I'm just saying. So he go knock on the door and he was like, why are we here? Who is this person? He ain't telling him that. He was like, this is just somebody I used to serve with and whatever. Somebody I used to know. So some young dude come to the door who I actually think is this person's son, who actually is important in the comics, but I'm not going to go into his story. And so he come to the door. And so Bucky was like, I'm here to see Isaiah. So he was like, don't nobody here go by that name. You might as well go ahead and leave now while you had a chance. And so he told him a phrase or something to my son. I met him somewhere. He was like, tell him this, and then, you know, he'll know that it's me. So he went and told the man, Isaiah, exactly what he said. This man's name is Isaiah Bradley. Make sure you keep that in your memory bank. Who is this black man? Yet another black man, y'all. This is what I was telling y'all about earlier. Y'all need to keep this in your memory bank if you don't keep nothing else I said today in your memory bank. So Isaiah heard this information. And so the boy came back to the door and was like, it's your lucky day. And so he opened the door. I saw the back of this man's head. And I had already seen the cast list. So I already knew who the dude was. As far as I've seen his face when I looked up the cast. So I already knew it was him. But I didn't know that he was who he is as far as in the Marvel universe. So he was like, the only reason why I let you in here is because I wanted to see if it really was you. I wanted to see if you really had your arm. Did you get your arm back or whatever? So the backstory is back in the day, back in the like late 30s, early 40s. I think it was the early 40s. Bucky was running loose. Bucky, I told y'all, Bucky had some ups and downs. 1 minute he's with the good guys. The next minute he's a villain. Couldn't nobody get to Bucky. Could nobody bring Bucky down. Everybody who went after Bucky ended up never coming back, meaning they were getting killed left and right. Well, they dropped him off. And let's just say Isaiah Bradley set it off on the left, right, front, and the back. And he was the only one to get the job done when it came to Bucky. But guess why, though? So I got to give y'all a short history lesson. Isaiah Bradley was one of hundreds of black men who were drafted into the military under false pretenses. This was like a whole nother Tuskegee Institute situation all over again. I am so disgusted. So all these people were put into the military. It was like over 300 and some people. And they were told that they were going to be in the military and they were going to do all this stuff, but it was all a guise. They wanted to test these people with super soldier serum. It's a tongue twister. That's why I always have to slow down because I mess it up every time. So hundreds of people ended up dying and they were sitting up there lying to these folks' families talking about they died in war. Well, this man, he was living a nice, amazing life. And like 2 years after he got drafted into the military or whatever, they ended up drafting him to do that. And so he had been tested. He had a life. He was with this woman who he married named Faith Bradley. She had a baby and some more, like, for him. Like, she stayed there with him through thick and thin. Now, here go the thick. So he was like, I don't know if he was the only one, but he was the main one who survived all of this testing, right? Isaiah Bradley was the first Captain America, and he was black. Did you hear what I said? Okay, then. So I got excited because, again, this was something that I heard very, very low rumblings about years and years ago. And I mean, I started looking into stuff every now and again as I would see black comic book characters emerge. And then I would connect other people. So yeah, like the main one everybody talks about now is Black Panther, or they talk about Luke Cage and all that other stuff. Those are like the only two people talk about. Don't nobody even be talking about War Machine. Don't nobody talk about the Falcon like that. He was the first Captain America. Like, he was the first one to wear the uniform and all that. Like, he really actually was the first one, the first super soldier. He was the first Captain America. Oh, okay. I just had to make sure y'all heard me when I said that. So anyway, well, all the powers and stuff that he possessed, that, you know, all this stuff basically changed his genes and all this other stuff, enhanced stuff and whatever. And the way that his powers and stuff worked, they were not accepting of it. And they ended up putting this man in prison for like 30 years. Now, when the Captain America that everybody knows of came out and was doing all this, they lived for it and they deemed him a hero and all this other stuff. And this man's life was thrown away in prison when it didn't have to be. When y'all to set it off. And it basically was because the fact that this man was black. And I'm just like, how dare all of y'all? And his wife stayed there the whole time. Like, it was the absolute most that was going on. And I was like, how dare y'all? But yeah, he got tired of his spirit while he was talking to Bucky. And he was like, look, I just wanted to make sure that you were who you are. And I see you got your metal arm back, not knowing that it's vibranium now because he was in Wakanda. But yeah, this man set it all the way off on him. And he was like, unless you're here to tell me that, you know, unless you're here, he didn't know whether or not he actually was going to come and kill him or not, because everybody knows Bucky mainly to be like this mercenary, I'm killing everybody type of person. So he already was looking at him like, okay, I see that you are who you are, but are you here to kill me? If you ain't here to kill me, then you need to get up out of my house. Like, he started getting very triggered, told Bucky he need to get up out the house. So, I mean, he really started to set it off. So they ended up finally leaving the house. I was like, Lord have mercy, y'all. As soon as they walk out the door, the police done rolled up. And it's like, why though? Who called the police? So the police were out there. And so at first, everybody was directing all of their negative energy towards the Falcon. So it's like, why y'all rolling up on the Falcon because he black? This is clearly what was happening, because we are in present day. So the police have rolled up. They not recognizing that it's the Falcon at the moment. So then one of the dudes realized that he is who he is. And Bucky the whole time is trying to tell them, you need to leave him alone. No, he's not bothering me, because they really are like, oh, is he bothering you, sir? He was like, no. And then the Falcon was just like, we just having an argument. We all right, we good, we having a conversation. What are you talking about? Man, eventually that man realized that it was the Falcon. So he was like, the other dude realized it was the Falcon. So he went over to his partner and whispered in his ear, told him who it was. And he looked at him real good. He was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, now you want to set it off because you realize it's the Falcon now. Oh, okay. I'm going to need you to sit down. Police are steady rolling in and I'm tired of my spirit. Well, ultimately, they still were needed a little bit because Bucky had a warrant out for his arrest because he had missed his court-mandated therapy session with that woman. So they had to take him in. I was like, really? So anyway, they ended up getting him bailed out of jail, and it wasn't even him. So they thought that, you know, the Falcon thought that the woman got him bailed out, the therapist, and she was like, no, I thought it was you. Ended up being Captain America. Y'all know how much Bucky hate him. Bucky can't stand him. So I'm like, oh gosh. And he was even like, yeah, this gonna be a problem. And I mean, like, they saw that he did this. The camera was all around doing the most. Everybody taking pictures of him. And it's like, oh, okay, we see you setting it off rip. Cool, do what you do. Well, after he got released, the therapist was like, I'm going to need both of y'all to come in here and be a part of this therapy session. The Falcon was like, no, what I'm not finna do is that. And so she was like, yeah, that wasn't me asking you. You basically finna do this. So they went up in there and she was like, what is the problem? Why is it that y'all can't work together? Y'all need to work out y'all differences. So she had to do this exercise. And then Bucky went first. And she asked him, like, what do you have against him? What is your problem with him? And so he sat there and he said, for you not to take the shield, that Steve entrusted you with, for you to just give it away, as much as I know he believed in you, for you to not think that he believed in you or whatever, like, he kind of felt like it was a ripple effect. Well, if he believed in you and you ain't who you supposed to be, then that means for him to have believed in me, that must have been trash too. Like, something must be wrong with me. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, all the light bulbs and the red flags and everything went off then. Y'all, so anyway, they had their little moment, and it was just to the point where he was like, look, we can work together on this situation right here. We can work together on this, and after it's over, we can go our separate ways and never see each other again. And so Bucky was like, that's fine with me. So he excused himself and was like, I'll be outside. So he went out the door, and I guess he finished his mandated therapy session, and then he came out. Y'all, as soon as they came outside of the police station, I was like, why are the police out here again? And I mean, it was loaded down with police officers, but the new Captain America was over there playing with the lights. And I was like, boy, if you don't go somewhere and sit down. So anyway, him and Battlestar, aka Lamar, done rolled up and was like, hey, we're on the same team. I feel like we should be able to take these people down. Let's work together. Bucky ain't here for it. And then the Falcon was like, we are free agents and y'all ain't. Y'all have all kinds of restrictions on y'all, and y'all still got all kinds of clearances and stuff that y'all got to get through. Y'all would have to cross all kinds of red tape, and we don't. So yeah, it don't even make sense for us to even try to work together. So nah, bro, we good where we at. And they walk off. And it's true. So yeah, it's just a lot. There's a lot going on. And I don't know how they're going to do this. They need to do something. I feel like they're going to have some kind of common ground, reach that common ground. How? I don't know, because Bucky ain't here for nobody, and I mean nobody. Anyway, hopefully y'all enjoyed the recap review for this show. Let's get down in the comment section and discuss it. Like this video for me. I'll see y'all later on. Bye.